I don't know how these people, these newscasters, how they just off the cuff, I just get, it's not my fault.
When you're staring
So what are you doing here today, Lara?
What?
What are you doing here today? Just tell me.
We're here with Lara McKinney, and she's one of our regular customers, and we're just asking her questions about how often she comes, how she incorporates it into her life, if she likes the meals, those kind of questions.
So when I first heard about Studio Kitchen, I thought, you know, can the food really be good? They're preparing all of these different entrees. We're going to be putting it together. It's going to be sitting in the freezer, and then we're defrosting it and cooking it. How good can it actually be? You know, this is a kitchen where they're making food on a large scale, and are they really going to be flavoring it the way that I would flavor it if I was cooking? But my mother and sister assured me that they love the food, their families love the food, so I thought, you know, I'll give it a try. We'll see. They wouldn't just tell me this unless they really believed it. So the first time I went, I got a smaller amount of food, a smaller number of entrees, because I just wanted to try it and see, could it live up to the hype? And it did. The food is very good. Now it's almost a bone of contention with my husband and I, because he wants to know, is this going to be a Studio Kitchen meal or are you cooking? And I never know whether it's because he actually prefers the Studio Kitchen meals to my meals. And luckily he's a smart enough man that he doesn't tell me what the answer is, but I have my suspicions. Well, we've been coming for over 3.5 years now, and my mother and sister have been going for at least 4, I think, maybe even 4.5. They're the ones who turned me on to the whole idea.
Okay, so what did they say? What made you want to come?
Well, they were just talking about how it was so fun, and I didn't live in this area, so I had never heard of anything like Studio Kitchen or the concept at all. And so I thought, you know, why would you go somewhere and have somebody else make your food and all you're doing is putting it together and it's going to taste awful? And so I didn't really understand the concept, but they just kept talking about it and saying that they had such a good time going and having, you know, time to actually be able to chat while you're making the food. But they also liked the fact that within, you know, 45 minutes to an hour, they had almost a month's worth of food that they didn't have to worry about cooking, and all they had to do was think about pulling it out of the freezer, letting it defrost, and then doing all of the sides with it. And they kept raving about the food. So when I moved here, I think I'd only been here maybe 2 or 3 weeks before they convinced me that they were coming again and that I needed to go with them. And ever since then, I've been a regular.
Well, great. And what did you do before? What were your kind of eating habits before you started coming to the Studio Kitchen?
We ate a lot of meals out. We had a lot of microwave meals or something, you know, that was a pasta, something very quick to do. So I don't think nutritionally my diet was very good before.
Yeah, I was trying to find out from clients that were assembling at the business, and I said, "Well, what did you eat before?" And they're like, "Cereal,
Hot dogs,
hamburger helper."
Actually, we used to eat hamburger helper because it was something that was very quick and easy to do at night, and you know, it's easy to have a pound of meat defrosting in your refrigerator. But since Studio Kitchen, I had 3 or 4 boxes of hamburger helper that I just had to throw away because it passed the expiration date, and neither of us really wanted to eat them when you had something that was homemade the way Studio Kitchen is. A lot of the sauces that you do, your marinara sauce for a lasagna or for some of the other ones, or your enchilada sauces, it doesn't taste like, I don't know how long it takes you to create it, but it doesn't taste like it's something that's fast. It tastes like it's been simmering on a stove for hours and hours and hours. And there's very few times when I even have to season it with salt or anything while it's cooking or after that's cooking. It tastes good. My mother and sister, when they first started coming to Studio Kitchen 4 or 5 years ago, they had tried Studio Kitchen, they really liked it, but it's about a 30-minute drive for us, and so they thought, oh, well, there's a couple similar types of concepts that are closer, so we'll just try those and see if it's going to be easier. Certainly would save time for the driving. They tried a Dream Dinners and they tried a Super Steppers once each, and that was it. They have never been back. They've never thought about trying any of the other competitors because the food was not as good. They said the sauces weren't as flavorful. They weren't as complex. You know, it just tasted like they opened up a can of cream of mushroom soup and threw something else in it. They said that the food was just not as good. The quality was not as good.
We've heard other customers say that it saves them money at the grocery store.
For me, when I go to the grocery store, I'm not having to buy a lot of meat. I'm not having to buy a lot of the things that you need to make your different recipes. I usually, when I go into the grocery store, I pick up vegetables, I pick up staples like, you know, your bread, your milk, your cereal, any of that kind of stuff.
I find a lot of people do not look at what they spend on eating out.
I didn't, but even just downtown, I probably would eat out 3, maybe 4 days a week because, you know, it's easy and it's convenient. And sometimes you can find something that's only $5 for lunch, but downtown it's hard to find anything that's less than $5 or $6. So if you go out to eat to somewhere where you're going to be sitting down, you're looking at $10 to $15 per lunch.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that 3 or 4 times a week, and then you start adding that up, it's outrageously expensive. So for me, a lot of times I'll take our extra serving, our leftovers from the studio kitchen, and I'll take that for lunch. And so for about $12 for the 3 servings, we get a meal and I get a lunch for less than I was paying often for just one lunch for myself.
Yeah.
We save a lot of money by not eating out as much. We used to, before Studio Kitchen, we probably ate out 3, maybe 4 nights a week, and maybe once or twice on the weekend during the day. And that's expensive. Even if you're splitting an entree, it's expensive. And for us, it's just my husband and I. And so having a Studio Kitchen, you know, it's very affordable. We usually get the 3 serving entrees, and we'll have leftovers.
So you take that third portion as a leftover for lunch the next day?
If I can steal it before my husband claims it, yes.
Yeah, so that's why it works so well for a couple.
Yes. So here for us, this is my Studio Kitchen shelf. If I've got some older months that I haven't used yet, I'll go ahead and I'll take those from the back, move them to the front, and put all the new stuff in the back. So you know you get a constant turnover. You don't have to worry about something sitting in there so long that you've forgotten about it.
Right.
And for me, it works really well. And then we've got the shelf down here where we can put some of the things that don't stack quite as well. I'm one of those people, I got this from my mother, I know, but I don't feel comfortable if I have an empty freezer. Having a freezer full of food for us is almost like having cash in the bank, because you just know that things are going to be okay. At least you're not going to starve. If everything goes wrong, you're not going to starve. You've got food.